Hey guys, this is Mark with the Daily Hustle Show, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about our sales tip that we discussed in a previous couple of shorts that we uploaded, which is confidence is key. The preparation of confidence happens before your actual meeting with a client or clients. Okay, so to get into that, it's actually something that begins very early in your sales career. Okay, a lot of people use these examples of if you're in a fight, that is not when you should be practicing fighting, right? And when you're in a game, that's not when you should be practicing different aspects of the game. That happens before the game and in between games, right? It's the same thing in sales. And confidence is something that happens and can very easily be removed, okay? Especially in the sales game, because you could be doing extremely well and be on a complete, positive slope, right? Everyone's saying yes to you, everyone's, signing contracts with you, everyone's moving forward with you, and then you have a day where just nothing aligns. And you immediately think you're doing something wrong. You start to second guess yourself, right? You start to get yourself to the point where you're wondering if you're even doing the right thing, if you're in the right industry, just because one day it just wasn't a good day. In sales, that's normal, right? Consider baseball players. They enter the Hall of Fame with a minimum of a 300 batting score. Now, if you have a batting score or batting average, right, of 300, that means you have done something other than get on base, right, 700% of the time, right, out of the 1,000, right? So that means you have a lot of, ways of getting into the Hall of Fame after 300. It could be you had a lot of RBIs, runs batted in, you've had a lot of home runs, stolen a lot of bases, right? You're over 300, it automatically puts you into that pool, and then at that point it's skills and some popularity that's involved. Aside from that, the point of bringing that up is 3 out of 10 times they're doing something positive, right? 3 out of 10. Now, yes, we can go back and forth and say, well, they probably walked or they bunted and sacrificed themselves to get out to move the runners along. Yes, I understand how the game goes, but this is also the same thing in sales. You may not close that deal today, okay, because you didn't help them enough today. They may need to know more information, and that may take a couple of more weeks, a couple of more months, and as you continue to help them along in the process, then they've realized you're the one for the, you're the one for the company, you're the one for them, and then they sign that agreement, and then you guys move on to the next steps. It all begins with confidence, okay? So have a routine, something that you do before every meeting. And it essentially, I should correct myself, it does not have to be before a meeting in front of, a potential prospect, right? It doesn't have to be a listing appointment if you're in real estate. It doesn't have to be a sales appointment or a sales call if you're in general sales. It doesn't have to be a sit down and a demo with high level execs if you're in the B2B world, right? It doesn't have to be at that point. It could be before you make your very first cold call, okay? It could be before you sign the actual document with them. You have to have some confidence there, okay? You got to be able to present that price tag. I think a lot of people have issues with stuff like that. They have issues presenting a high price tag because for them, that's a high price tag, but the person that you're talking to, it may not really matter to them, okay? If you're talking B2B sales, they may have a $500,000 budget that year and you're selling them a $30,000 project. They really do not care about that 30 grand, okay? You might look at that and be like, wow, that's a lot of money. Number one, the person that's okaying it, it's not coming out of their pocket, it's coming out of a company fund, right? And they're the ones that are saying, yeah, this is what we want. You have to have confidence there. The point is, confidence starts from the very beginning of the process and makes its way all the way through. It does not stop, okay? It starts at the very, very beginning before you even make that phone call. It's when you wake up in the morning, there's a routine. What do we teach our kids? Have a routine, right? And then you show them by modeling that behavior that you have a routine. And then they start to see, okay, well, mom and dad are doing it, okay? Well, if they're doing it, then I should be doing it. Okay, if you tell your children, make your bed, and I'm not saying do it at 2 years old, but when they're a little older, you tell them make your bed, and then they notice that you're not making your bed, it's not congruent, right? There's a disconnect there. You're telling me to do something you're not doing, mom, dad, uncle, grandma. So The point is, it has to be congruent all the way through, okay? You have to be willing to understand that whatever you're asking of your client, that you need to do the same as well, and that comes with confidence. Do not be afraid to ask a specific question because you're nervous or fearful of the response, okay? That's sales. You have to ask questions to get the response, but it comes with confidence, okay? I can ask any question I want, and it's gonna be portrayed with confidence, okay? If you ask a client, well, does this look expensive to you, or is this right in line with what you were thinking? Do you see how that sounds almost uncomfortable to listen to? Imagine if you weren't listening and watching our videos and you were just a random person that we've never met, or we're just talking on the phone. That's going to sound extremely annoying and unconfident, right? You have to have that confidence. So if you were to say, does this price look a little too much? Is it right in line with what you guys were thinking? If you ask it like that, it seems very annoying, right? However, if you ask it with, tell me a little bit about what you're thinking about the price, and just stare, wait for a response, right? And if you want to go into the next part of, is this price aligned with what you and the rest of the company were looking to pay this year? Do you see how confident it is? It doesn't matter that I'm staring right into the camera. That's how I'm staring at my clients and prospects as well. There's confidence in there, okay? It can go as simple as, hi, how are you today? If you say, hi, how are you? Doesn't sound confident, but hi, how you doing today? Confident. Hey, how are you? Confident, okay? If I say, hi, how are you? And they do not say anything back that I'm looking for example, I'll say, hi, my name is Mark, how are you today? And they'll say, what is this about? And I go, well, I'm good, thanks for asking. And I'll pause and I'll just chuckle a little bit. I go, all right, so we're past that part. We're just gonna go right into it, right? And they start laughing. You can hear that laugh on the phone, right? You can hear, even if they're not physically laughing, you can hear they wanna laugh. You can just tell by the tonality of their voice. Because I'm so confident that I know what I wanna say, and whatever you throw at me, I'm gonna have a response to, right? So at that stage of the game, the confidence is just through the roof, and that confidence is actually contagious, okay? So if you're trying to set up a sales call, if you're trying to set up an appointment with a customer, your confidence has to be determined and ready way before that actual appointment or phone call, text message, email, however you're communicating with your clients and prospects and your customers, okay? Has to be established way before. Now, having confidence is not something that you just wake up with. It's something that you have to sharpen, okay? A friend of mine will say sharpen the sword. So that's exactly what I'm referring to. You cannot just wake up one day and be like, oh yeah, I was confident yesterday, big stretch, big yawn, and say, I'm going to have confidence today. No, you have to go through a routine, okay? And every routine is different. As I said in one of the previous short videos that we did, every athlete typically has a routine before the game, okay? If you're looking at football, typically they have headphones on, they're doing specific workouts, they're doing a certain routine. That it does not change. It doesn't matter if they're on the road or if they're home, okay? No matter where that game is being played, doesn't matter if it's a Super Bowl game, if it's a playoff game, or if it's just a regular season game or an exhibition game, there's always a routine that they do not stray from, okay? Golfers are perfect for this. Golfers go through a pre-swing routine, it's called, where if you look at different ones, like different PGA Tour, and now they have the LIV Tour, but if you look at different tour players, okay, they have a specific routine before they get up to the ball to hit and get onto the next fairway. They have a routine, and that routine might be something simple like standing behind the ball, tapping the head of the club on the ground twice, deep breath like that, and then they walk up. There's other ones that are very particular, and I cannot remember his name right off the top of my head. But what he'll do is he'll get up to the ball, and he'll look 3 or 4 times down the fairway to the hole. Obviously, it's in the distance. He'll do a couple of waggles with his club, and he will not hit the ball unless he has at least 3 or 4 waggles. You can count them all, okay? Once he has 3 or 4 waggles, it's like his brain is ready, his body is ready, everything is ready, and then he swings. Jason Duffner, I think is his name. That's what I'm referring to. He'll do that. Go on YouTube, look at him. He does these little waggles with the club, and then he'll hit. Same thing when they putt. They might get behind the putt. They might do a deep breath. They might do like two little practice putts, and then they'll get right up to the ball and go. So the point is that there's a routine before every action. It's the same thing in sales, guys. You have to have a routine that you do not stray from, okay? Because if you do stray from that routine, it is going to mentally throw you off. Trust me, it will, okay? I've gone through it where I had a bad morning, maybe I had a bad conversation with somebody, and I was just not mentally with it at that moment. And I went in front of a client, and the client could sense it because I put on that smile, and they knew it was a fake smile. I was going through my process, but I wasn't going through it like I would typically go through it, which I'm very meticulous with it. And I was going through it almost like, again, a friend of mine will say, just checking the boxes, right? Like, this was part of my sales process. Like, check that box, check that box. Instead of going through it meticulously like I would typically do, ask the right questions at the right time, I was just asking the question that was there, that I thought was the right one to ask at that moment, and just moved on to the next. That's just checking off the box, ask a question, not deeper level and understanding the client more, which we'll go into in other videos. So that is very, very important. You cannot fake confidence, okay? You have to go through that routine. Now, I will give you what my personal routine is before I deal with any sales call, whether I deal with any sales exec in front of me, whether it be B2B, B2C. I'm gonna tell you right now exactly what it is, okay? Before I get onto any call or before I do anything in person, even before I do these videos, okay? I do a big huff and puff. I go through a brief, kind of rundown of what I'm going to say. I give myself a couple of responses that if they give me these responses, what am I going to say, right? A couple of objection handles, and also just regular communication. Sometimes I'll change up what I'm going to say. However, I will routinely go through it, and it usually takes me about 5 minutes, okay? And I have paperwork here that's right over here that I have bullet points that I'll pay attention to, that I make sure that I hit on the video, or whether I'm in front of a client or a prospect, I have everything there ready to go. But that's my routine. So I take a few minutes, about 5 minutes before any video, any cold call, and I go through exactly what I'm gonna say. Now, when I'm going through the cold calling side of it, that cold call, I'm not doing it before every single call. I'm doing it before I start the day. And even when I take a brief lunch break, okay, I then do it again. Because your brain now has then moved on to a completely different, way of living, right, after your lunch break. We all know we come back from lunch, we're like, all right, oh my God, it's only 1. We all do it. Doesn't matter where you are in sales or where you are in any industry, right? In any level of employment. We come back from lunch, we look at the clock, we go, okay, still got 4 hours, right? So what I'll do is I'll sit down and go through that routine, which just takes me 5 minutes or so. Sometimes, most of the time it's less. I'll go through what I'm gonna say in the video or with the client, whether they're in front of me or it's on the phone. I'll give myself a couple of objection handling conversations. If they say this, I will now say that. And that's why if someone talks to me, I have a really quick response because I already know what I'm going to say. Then it stores in your head as muscle memory, right? So once you have the muscle memory, you already know at that stage of the game, if they say this to me, this is what I'm going to say, because you've heard it a bunch of times, right? So that's my routine. I just take a few minutes to just think about what I'm gonna say, give myself a couple of objection handles if need be, okay? And then I look through everything and I do a couple of dry runs. That's it. And once I'm able to do a dry run without stuttering or stopping or like, oh wait, should I have said that? Once I'm done with all that, press play, okay? Make the phone call, sit in front of the client, okay? Again, if you're a fighter, you will not go into the ring or the cage and get into an all-out, brawl with somebody without any training. Even the day of your fight, there is very light workouts that you'll do. You'll do some stuff in the locker room because you don't want to just walk in there without any real, mental preparation, right? You got to do something. So again, that's what this whole video is about, is understanding confidence and understanding that confidence does not happen with a client. Confidence happens before you're actually dealing with a client, okay? And that could be, like I said, as a routine that will develop that confidence for you and strengthen that confidence for you, okay? That specific routine. If routines do not work for you and you want to do something different, maybe it's something different every single day. Maybe it's a different song, even though you are listening to music, so that's a routine. But it might be a different song, or it might be something where you might accomplish something before you get into your sales call or your sales appointment, right? Or any appointment that you would have. It could be, well, today I'm going to make sure that I clean up the kitchen before I do anything, because mentally you've accomplished something. So that's the positivity that your brain sees. It doesn't really care that you clean the kitchen. It just cares that you did something, and then everything kind of goes crazy in your brain and realizes that that was something positive. Something has been accomplished. Now I can move forward. So again, guys, confidence is key. It begins before the appointment, before the phone call, before you're in front of somebody or people. Okay, confidence is key. It comes from way, way, way before this. Okay, how to practice confidence? It's actually simple to practice it. Some people may disagree with this. They'll say, well, if you don't have confidence, you'll never have it. No, you will. Confidence comes with repetition. Okay, the more you do it, the more confident you're going to be. Think about when you go to the gym. If you have never been in a gym before in your life and you start to work out, let's say you go on, like today's Monday, you might go on a Monday and you'll see everybody working out and you'll be a little bit hesitant because they're already there. Okay, fast forward, you start going 3-4 days a week, on a regular basis like that. Fast forward 60 days, 2 months later, right? I can guarantee you'll walk into that gym like you own it. Go right to the machines and to the weights that you want to use, and you'll go through your routine. You'll do your workout, and you'll leave, and you'll do the same thing the next day. You won't really care who's there and what they look like and what they're wearing and how bulked up they are, if that intimidates you in any way, shape, or form, because you've done it so much that you've created the confidence in you. It's the same thing in sales, same thing in any industry. You don't even have to be in sales. You could be an accountant. If you do not know how to do the numbers and do the spreadsheets and itemize your debits and your credits and all that, well, then learn it. And then once you learn it, the more you do it with that repetition, that's what develops the confidence. Then you get to the point where you can explain that to a team, right? People that are a little bit below you in the company, and you can help them understand it a little bit quicker, bring them up to speed. Okay, again, confidence is key. It comes down to the repetition, and this happens before your actual appointments or your sales calls, okay, or any phone call or any big thing you have going on in your job. Last example I want to give before we wrap this video up is if you are in a different industry. Let's say you are in an industry where you make things for people. It could be food, it could be painting and art, right? It could be woodworking, okay? If you make things, as you can see what I'm wearing here, it's a carpentry sweatshirt. This is actually my brother-in-law's company. He doesn't live too far from here. So I was very clear with everyone in the family that when I'm doing some of my videos, I will wear some of the attire. I don't mind, okay? He does really, really good work. But let's say we'll focus on him for a second. He can pretty much build anything. So he's very good at what he does. So let's say he's sitting in front of a potential customer. They come to him and they say, hey, look, I saw some of your work. I really like it. Could you come and give me a price on doing a deck? Whatever, just a deck. Well, he's going to go there and he's going to look at everything, have a discussion with these people, and then he's going to send them a price or give it to them on site, whichever, ways he has of doing it. Now, I'm not saying he does this. This is just an example of a builder. So instead of just showing up there, his routine might be that he's going to have a conversation with himself before he gets there. Okay, I'm going to walk up to them. I'm going to shake their hand. Maybe I won't shake their hand. I know it's post-COVID and everything. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask them these questions. I'm going to say, before we go out to look at the deck space, let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. What if they say this to me? Okay, I'm going to say this if they say that to me. And he's going to go through this process. Remember, this doesn't happen right before the meeting. This happens generally way before the meeting, okay? This should happen like the day or a couple days before, okay? Have all that information ready to go. So when they say, well, do you want to go to the deck now? No, before we do that, I just want to understand, what are you going to use the deck for? Do you guys know the sizes that you want for the deck? Do you know the materials you want for the deck before we even go and look at it? These are all the criteria that I need to have before I go look at that deck. Then he has all that information, which is also rapport building, which we're going to go into in another video. Now he's prepared. So now the next time he goes and look at somebody else's deck, he's going to have the same questions prepared and set up, and he's going to be more confident on the second appointment, the third appointment, the fourth appointment, and the fifth appointment, right? The more he does this, the more confident he's going to be. It's all coming down to repetition. Then he'll start to apply it to, well, this isn't a deck that I'm going to look at. I'm looking at a set of stairs. I'm looking at putting a staircase in the middle of this house. I'm looking at remodeling a kitchen or a bathroom. So you can now apply the same confidence to those other aspects of your job. So now he knows, if I do this, if I do that, if they say this, I'm going to say that. This will apply to decks, staircases, bathrooms, kitchen renovations, living room renovations, knocking walls out, right? It does not matter what you do for work. As long as you have the preparation ahead of time, if you're unsure, continue to practice, because that repetition is going to develop a level of confidence for you guys. And once you develop that level of confidence, the sky's the limit. So again, this is Mark of the Daily Hustle Show. Today we were talking a little bit about how confidence is key. Take a look at the TikTok. There's some shorts on there as well, and on YouTube. Every day we are doing a daily sales tip, and then we're going to do a little video about what that sales tip can do to help you in your industry. Bye, guys.